Hello and welcome to another On It Not In It interview series podcast. I'm your host, Todd Eppert, and today I'm joined by Lisa Niekamp-Urwin, who is the founder, president, and CEO of Tomorrow's Technology Today. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us. Would you like to kick us off with a brief background as to who you are and what you do?
Thanks, Todd. Yeah, I'm glad to join. I started back in 2002. I came off of an unemployment, I guess I want to say. And I took a job with a manufacturing company. And long story short, I ended up not liking that and decided, boy, it made sense to start my own business. And so that's where Tomorrow's Technology Today was born, um, basically in my dining room, and got started from there.
Awesome. So, why don't you give us a little bit about what Tomorrow's Technology does? What's your focus in the industry so we can understand who you are about the business?
So we do manage technology services for businesses. That's everywhere from sales and service of computer, hardware, software, and all the way into managed technology services. Like we do proactive things, and we put on we believe in layers of security. So we have our own cybersecurity stack that we believe in, and that's what helps protect our clients from those bad actors.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Lisa. We appreciate that. So you mentioned 2002. Sounds like you were a little bit maybe forced into the entrepreneurial world. You had a job and you didn't like it, and you were sounds like you're also laid off at one point. I find it interesting when I talk to people, oh, I'm going the corporate route because there's security in the corporate route. Well, your story's a little different than that.
Yeah,
So,
I was in the actually I was in the corporate route for gosh, a good 15 years. And I had grown into being a project manager. And the industry took a huge hit, and I was on a project, they had layoffs, and they put the project on hold. And when you don't have a project, you really don't need a project manager anymore. So I was devastated because I've always been in the IT world, heck, you know, I'm always employable kind of thing, and I did find a job right away, but it turned out it was more of I wore way too many hats, which I guess kind of goes to entrepreneurial world, but with a lot of stress. I was doing the HR, I was doing quality control, I was setting up new quality equipment, and then I was also installing a server and taking care of any IT problems. And they were about an 80-person manufacturing firm. So it was just constantly going everywhere, and I just look in the mirror one morning and I was like, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. And that's where my husband encouraged me. He's like, you've always wanted your own window. You always wanted your own office. Why don't you start it? This is a perfect time, perfect break for it. So that's where it all started.
awesome. Awesome. So it sounds like you were already doing everything anyways, wearing lots of hats. So why not go be an entrepreneur and do everything and wear lots of hats, right? And
Yes.
do it for
Yep.
yourself instead of somebody else. So
Yep.
awesome. So kind of a combination of sparks that caused your entrepreneurial journey, loss of a job, different things going on, maybe a job you didn't like that much, your husband saying just go do it yourself. So you combined several of the typical reasons why entrepreneurs start their business. So I appreciate that story. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
So it's been 22 years, 20 years. You said 2002, so it's been 22 years. So tell us about some of the misconceptions you had about running a business throughout the years. Maybe something that you learned along the way. You expected one thing and got something different. And what's the biggest one you learned from?
I thought I would have lots of freedom. And I guess if there's points in my life where yes, I had a lot of freedom. My daughters danced, and they also had horses. So I did have lots of flexibility in making those things happen. But juggled the day-to-day operations with that. So there was lots of flexibility. I probably, if I had the 9 to 5 job, wouldn't have been able to do a lot of that kind of stuff. Within the recent years, the remote work has been, you know, lots of opportunities there for me. And we'll take off for a horse show, and we try to go the night before, and then as my daughter's getting everything prepped, I'm in the camper working, working all day, and then we get to enjoy the weekend together. So lots of flexibility, um, lots of learning opportunities in it. Um, just the whole hiring process, figuring that all out. I always thought I'd be a great manager, as I was going through the corporate world, and boy, I had a lot to learn there, and you know, lessons learned, right? Just um, hire slowly, fire quickly, was the biggest thing, making sure you got that right culture, the right team. The team I've got together now, it took us a while to get where we are, but they just mesh so well. And that takes time. So you gotta hang with it. You gotta learn from everything, and the quicker you fail, the faster you return, faster you get moving again.
Awesome. Great life lessons. I love the hire slow, fire fast, right? That's a tough thing to do for small business owners. It's always such a big deal to hire that first, second, third, fifth, 10th employee, because it's not like you got 1,000 employees and you're just adding another number to the roster. It's a big difference, right? And so you want to take your time, making sure we got the right fit. And then if you make that simple mistake, which often we do, don't hang on to them too long, right? That's what you're
Right.
saying. So that's great.
Set them free.
Yes. So you've now said that word a few times. You wanted more freedom. You got flexibility, maybe not as much freedom as you thought you were going to get. So what are some things you already mentioned horse shows and how you're kind of managing that. Are there any other habits or personal rituals you put in place to try to maintain a little bit of work-life balance in the business ownership world?
Well, I don't ever believe there will be ever work-life balance. I don't think that's in me. I don't think I love work. My kids know I love work. I've always worked, I've always, even when I was in the corporate world, that was just my fun. Now, I did separate it at times where I would go do something with the horses or do something with the family. But I make sure that I always live in the moment I'm in. Um, if I'm at work, I'm at work. If I'm at the horse show, I'm with the family, that's the family time. There'll be interruptions, but I don't let them take over my time. I deal with it and get back to it. Try not to hold on to things. I think that was a big piece too. I let things just lay in my head, and just kind of fester, I guess I want to say. And I've learned to um, there's a couple books that I've read that have taught me, just think about it, and what else would you be doing right now if you weren't thinking about that, and move on.
Yeah, excellent. So I think I appreciate you not maybe offering specifics, but maybe some mindset things. Maybe you had to have some mindset shifts or some mental
Yes,
attitude changes
yes,
around, hey, control the controllables and let the things that you
yes,
can't control go, things like that. So yeah,
yeah.
so I would call those habits and rituals. I mean, you may say you don't have work-life balance, but putting up those real strong boundaries and then letting the tough things go and not dwelling on them forever. Those are things you have to work on. Those are habits you have to build. You have to build the strength of character, for lack of a better word, to let things go sometimes. So you work in an industry that we wake up tomorrow and everything changes, right? In the IT industry, I feel like every time I buy a piece of technology, it's already 6 months out of date, right? So how do you maintain innovation? Your business is constantly evolving, the landscape's evolving, things are changing. You mentioned bad actors in cybersecurity just recently when you first brought it out. So how are you maintaining an adaptability to change and staying innovative in the company?
uh, Lots of I'm not a news person, but I am definitely a information finder.
Hmm.
um, Really into the things of artificial intelligence. What can I figure out through there? Um, I'm really big into podcasts. That has just flourished over the past couple of years. boy, you can find lots of great nuggets there. And, just taking, I only have a short commute, but I still pop one in. I have it set up so that as soon as I get in the car, one turns on. So always trying to see what information I can find.
I love that. So would you call yourself almost like an archaeologist of information, right? A collector of information kind of thing.
Yes, yes, I do
Yeah.
like that.
Continuous learner, maybe those kinds of words.
I try very
Yeah,
hard. Yes.
that's good. That's excellent. I appreciate you sharing that. And of course, we love to hear that podcasts are one of the ways you pass your time in the car. So hopefully you've enjoyed a few episodes of On It
Yes.
Not In It in the past.
Yes. Yes.
So so thank you for that. And now looking forward to the future, you're constantly learning. Have you thought about, you've been in business 22 years, without sharing any, secret details or anything, have you thought about the future of the company? What are some goals and plans that you've laid out for the company? Maybe for years 25 through 30.
It's definitely growth. I'm just not completely where I want to be. Um, I need to, I really want, I've been thinking about that enterprise value with the business and where my number is and where I want it to be and how things will transition. We got a great team here. Does it make sense to put in some kind of employee ownership, those kind of things? So really trying to figure it all out, but still continuing to grow the business. I think there's lots of opportunities out there and there's lots of businesses that need help. And I want to be part of that.
Excellent. Excellent. Thanks for sharing that. Appreciate it. So you've got some thoughts, but not a lot of plans. It sounds like maybe you got a lot of work to do in that
Yes.
perspective, which is,
Yep.
again, that's pretty common in the entrepreneurial world. We're busy doing our daily jobs, which is why we have the podcast. And it's really to help us remember to work on our businesses instead of in it sometimes, right? And that's what you're talking about, I think. So one final question for you, Lisa, and that is, hey, you've been at this 22 years. So you've learned a lot along the way. You shared some bits of knowledge already around continuous learning, around having that mindset, to letting things go, all those things that you've already shared. But what advice would you offer that entrepreneur that's maybe 2 or 3 years into it and maybe they're struggling and they're wondering, was it all worth it? How do you get them to get to the 23-year mark or the 22-year mark?
Um, Take on risk. I mean, that's what entrepreneurs are about. Um, Figure it out. If it looks like it's going bad, ditch it and move on. Learn to, draw your lines. But I wish I would have taken a lot more risk. I
Mm.
was, I was, I felt like I'm pretty conservative, and now I'm doing a lot more. Digging a little further kind of things. So I would encourage you, if you're an entrepreneur, take it to the max. Um, you can't, you can't grow if you're staying the same, right? That it's just you've got to keep moving on forward.
Yeah, excellent. I love that. I love that. So you were risk averse, pretty conservative,
I
and you
was,
felt like that held you back a little bit. And now
yeah,
you're like, okay, I
yeah,
wish I would
definitely,
have.
definitely,
But the honest question I would ask you is the reason your company survived 22 years because you took a little bit of a conservative approach.
probably, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely,
so it's a bit of a catch 22, right? A
yeah,
little bit of both sides. So, but I understand what you're saying. You already mentioned the one habit of hiring slow and firing fast, and so maybe if you take a risk, be okay with it, but then don't hang on to it too long. And if you're digging into something and it's not there, get away from it as quick as
yeah,
possible, right? So
yep.
similar mentalities to that. So
And it's okay to fail. Like everybody, there's such a mindset of, failure is so bad, but it's not. Failure is just a path of learning, and you got to be okay with that.
yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, you can't learn if you don't fail, right? You have to learn. You learn, and if you don't learn through your failures, then you've wasted your failure, right?
Right.
It's
Right.
almost like in my opinion, I heard this analogy once given to me as I was growing up in my corporate career. One of my bosses told me that, yeah, you have a college education, but every day you fail, you're actually getting further educated, right? If you take
Exactly.
advantage of it.
Yes.
So, Well, hey, Lisa, I want to thank you for joining us. Great job today. We really appreciate you joining the podcast. Thank you for your time, sharing a little bit about what you guys do at Tomorrow's Technology Today. And to everyone watching, I look forward to seeing and hearing you on our next episode.